Number 10.
Listen, the Commanders reality struck. Jaden Daniels, 50% completion percentage, only 242 yards. They were the second best team on the field. Even getting a botched fake punt, they couldn't win. But I think between coaching and Jaden Daniels, they will somehow sneak into the playoffs, may not win. I thought this weekend was sort of a reality check on what they are. A little too young at quarterback, but they are the number 3 scoring offense. But now they've lost to the Steelers and the Ravens and Tampa when they were healthy. They're about the 10th best team in the league.
Number 9.
Arizona Cardinals. I've never trusted them. I sort of kind of do now. They scored on 5 straight drives to open the game against the Jets. 4 of them, 70-plus yards. They're patient offensively, and they've really figured out the defense. They stopped the Chargers' offense when they came to town. He completed 17 straight passes at one point. I've been saying all year, I love their weapons. Do I trust the franchise? Upstairs, ownership, not really. But I will say in terms of offensive talent, receiver, tight end, back, tackle, quarterback, they're really, really good. Really, really good. That win over the Niners in Santa Clara was not a fluke.
Number 8.
The Niners, because Christian McCaffrey's back, by an inch over Arizona. 5 different players had 50-plus receiving yards, and that's without Brandon Ayuk the rest of the year. So they're sprinkling it around. Ricky Pearsall's making an impact here. Debo, the jet sweeps don't work as well, but they've got some nice target. George Kittle, by the way, like old Gronk. Kelsey, you think he's gone? No, he's not. They're 4-0 when Brock Purdy doesn't turn it over, meaning the margins have gotten very thin for them. Kansas City doesn't have to play perfect to win. San Francisco kind of does. They got lucky this weekend.
Number 7.
The Steelers. I was wrong. I admit it. I thought this organization was tone deaf to offense. They have the number. They are a great second-half team. They are on a 4-game winning streak. Russell Wilson has brought the deep ball back. They don't make mistakes. It's like the Seahawks light. Tough at home, physical, defensive culture, nice run game, quarterback that moves, and over the top now, they can burn you if you don't play them honest. I was wrong. Number 2 scoring defense. I think this team's a playoff team. I missed on them. Steelers at 7.
Number 6.
A team that reminds me of a lesser version of the Chiefs. The Chargers. Great coach, great quarterback, good enough offensive line, little light on weapons, excellent defense. Are they as good situationally as the Chiefs? Nobody in the world is. But they have had 5+ sacks in 3 straight games. It is remarkable. This was the worst defense in the league last year. Same players. They bring in Jesse Minter and a new head coach. They've had talent. They've had talent for years. Finally, Herbert has help.
Number 5.
I'll give it to the Eagles. They're 5-0 since the bye. 3 straight road wins by 20-plus points. I think they have the best roster in the league. Better than Detroit. Because I think 3 of their best young players defensively are all kids. They're all, Mitchell, the cornerback from Toledo, Jalen Carter, Dean from Georgia. This team is stacked. This roster has great players that are older, great players in their prime, Philadelphia, and great young players. I don't think there's any roster as good as Philadelphia. They're 6-0 when A.J. Brown plays. Philadelphia Eagles at number 5.
Number 4.
The Ravens. Here's what I love about their story. Remember the Lamar can't pass in the pocket. Wrong. Lamar can't play from behind. Yeah, they have 3 wins this year, trailing by 10-plus points. Their issue is they are so bad in the secondary that they can outplay you. Remember, the Raiders came from behind to beat them. This team is so bad on the back end, you don't have to be great everywhere in the NFL. You can't be terrible anywhere. You saw last night the Rams corners. They have to draft one in the first, second, third round. First, third, they don't have a second-round pick. But Baltimore, I love the growth of Lamar. I love them offensively. But that back end is an issue. I have them at 4.
Number 3.
The Lions, by an inch, 7-game winning streak. Jared Goff is having the season for all seasons. Actually, I don't love or trust their defense, but on third down, their defense is excellent, only allowing a 31% conversion rate. They played poorly and won on the road on Sunday Night Football. I think I respect them now more than ever, but I don't necessarily trust them situationally as much as I do a Kansas City team.
Number 2.
The Bills. Now, they're all banged up at wide receiver. I think Kansas City's going to beat them this weekend. but they lead the NFL in plus 13 turnover differential. That's come back. When healthy, I like their receiving core. Don't love it, but I like it. Now, Amari Cooper, Keon Coleman, Dalton Kincaid may not play for Kansas City. That spells trouble. But I think this is the best version of Buffalo. Doesn't mean they're going to beat the Chiefs, but it's the best version of it. Not as much reckless, more balance offensively, still well coached defensively.
Number 1.
15-game winning streak dating back to last season. I think it's the best third down offense. It's the best situational team since the Brady-Belichick Bucks. I think they're actually a little better at wide receiver than anybody wants to admit. D-Hop, Juju Smith-Schuster, Travis Kelce, Kareem Hunt can catch out of the backfield. Isaiah Pacheco's coming back. So I think the offense, if they had Rashee Rice right now, they wouldn't have D-Hop, and I think they'd be fine. They're a little better at receiver than last year and the year before. I don't think it's an emergency, but I also think all those young defensive players now are a bit older and wiser. I think it's the best team in the league. Their defense has not allowed a single point when trailing in the fourth quarter this season. So when you're great, sometimes it's hard to stay.
Okay. I know Detroit Lions fans are furious, and I know Baltimore Ravens fans are furious, having the Bills ahead of them. And I think they probably still believe that that they're better than the Lions, but at least you can maybe somewhat understand it. There's no way a Ravens fan is going to understand how the Bills are ahead of them. And I know the Lions are like, how are the Bills ahead of us? No way. And I know the Lions fans also believe that they're better than the Chiefs. This is a wild one. Listen, the way how my mind works is I can honestly make sense of almost anything. I really can. I can find the logic and the reason. I could say this is a perfect top 10. I could find the reason and the logic behind it, and I can argue it like I believe it myself, right? Like I honestly probably should have been a lawyer and not do whatever the heck this is considered. So I can make the argument, but at the same time, I also disagree. I also absolutely disagree here. It seems like I'm the only one that has the courage to put the Lions number 1. I don't understand why. I'm the only one that has the courage to put the Lions as the best team. And they clearly are the best team in the NFL right now over the Kansas City Chiefs, okay? I'm sorry. I am not impressed. And if you want to say that their wide receivers are actually better than people want to give them credit for, then that's an even more indictment on how Patrick Mahomes has been playing, okay? Then that is even a scarier problem that the Kansas City Chiefs fans, or just Kansas City Chiefs, have in general, okay? The whole thing is that, hey, he's not playing that well because of his weapons. I understand third down, fourth quarter, that's fine, that's great. If you want to keep relying on that, by all means, be my guest. We all know that it's not sustainable. It's not, I feel like I always have to say this, and it's really getting old. I'm not saying that the Kansas City Chiefs can't win a Super Bowl. I'm not saying that they're not a top team in the NFL. I'm not saying that the Kansas City Chiefs aren't great. I'm not saying any of those things. I'm not saying that Patrick Mahomes isn't an all-time great, one of the best to ever do it quarterback. But it's okay to admit that even though they're 9-0, as we've seen plenty of teams win lots of games in a row before. This isn't the first time. I've already unpacked it. I've already looked at all the other teams that have been on winning streaks that were better than the Kansas City Chiefs. So this is in no way historic or amazing or special. But there's no way, especially after watching the game against the Broncos, that I'm going to think, oh man, Kansas City Chiefs, man, no one's better than them. They're just unstoppable. Hey, they're going to go undefeated. They're going to go 17-0. 3-peat, let's go. It's absolutely possibility. It's absolutely a possibility, but the confidence behind it is reminiscent of the confidence of Caleb Williams going into this offseason. How'd that work out? Not too good. So I have the Detroit Lions number 1, okay? What they've done, and the way how they've beaten teams, and when they've played poor but still won, it wasn't by the skin of their teeth. It wasn't by, oh my God, we're so lucky that this team fumbled, or this penalty wasn't called, or this or that. It was because they found a way, and they convincingly found a way. That's how the Detroit Lions went about their business and how they have won games, even some of the close games. And so I'm not going to knock them just because they lost to the Buccaneers in what was that, week 2, and now all of a sudden that means that they're now going to be ranked 3rd. Like it just doesn't make sense to me. I'm a firm believer in the Buffalo Bills and the Baltimore Ravens. I really, really am. It is hard right now with the Buffalo Bills with all of their injuries. That is a legitimate problem, and the way how these teams are constructed right now, I just don't see how you're going to put the Buffalo Bills ahead of the Lions. Again, it's not to say that the Buffalo Bills can't beat the Lions come time Super Bowl. I guess, right, it would have to be a Super Bowl. I'm not saying that, but it's just like I need to see higher level of consistent higher level of play from the Buffalo Bills. Like I already made a whole video about the Buffalo Bills versus the Kansas City Chiefs and what that game's going to look like. And to me, that is going to tell me pretty much all I need to know about the Buffalo Bills. So before I could really rate them, or rank them, I should say, I'm going to really kind of hold off until Sunday. And the Baltimore Ravens, I understand, right? Everyone's really concerned about their defense. I get it. But I've already now also made a video about this, like all about that. What makes the Baltimore Ravens is obviously their offense. And you're betting on Lamar Jackson being Lamar, Derrick Henry, likely Mark Andrews, Flowers. Like that's what you're relying on, right? What they've been able to do offensively is how they're going to win their game. So to keep knocking them just because of their defense was never going to be the thing that keeps them in games, or is why they're even going to win games. So I get it. Your team will be better with a better defense. It's not to say that you could just have like this worse defense, but you are hopeful that this defense will improve and will get better. But that's definitely kind of a wait and see type of situation. The Philadelphia Eagles have obviously absolutely been great and been a top team in the NFL. I get the hesitation because they've beat up on bad teams, but as I've also talked about, I think today as well, is that the way they've been beating these teams and the way how they've been able to execute their offense and their defense has not so much been them just taking advantage of inferior teams. And the perfect example of that is against the Jacksonville Jaguars, where they actually had a top 9. They were the 9th best run defense, only giving up on average 111 yards, and yet the Eagles still ran the doors off, right? They just were able to attack. So again, even when a team is good at something, the Eagles still find a way to barrel through. So to me, that is so much more of an indicator that they are not only maybe playing not like great top level teams, right? They're not playing the Chiefs, the Bills, the Lions. So got news for you, most teams aren't. But even when they play some of these lesser teams, they still are able to expose the other team and really just be dominant in a win. And that is why it kind of lands more prominently for me than them just beating up on bad teams, right? Like, it was one thing if the Jacksonville Jaguars were a bad team and their run defense was awful, and then the Philadelphia Eagles rushed for 300 yards, and I would say, yeah, they exposed a really bad run defense, right? Like, that's to be expected. That would make a win like that a little bit less meaningful. The Cincinnati Bengals, look what happened with the Ravens. We say that the Ravens are better than the Philadelphia Eagles. Look how hard it was. I understand division, yada, yada, yada. That's fine. But look what like how close that was. That came down to the wire. The Eagles played the Bengals and were like, no, better luck next year. It wasn't even close. I mean, I think maybe for like a quarter, you felt that, hey, the Bengals are in this game. Hey, the Bengals can win this game. And it was after that, it was like, oh my God, this is two teams on completely different worlds right now. So that goes a long way to me for the Eagles. The Chargers are such a fascinating team because of how their roster is constructed. I'm on the record being a massive supporter of Harbaugh and Herbert and belief in what they can do. But their season, the way it unfolded with injuries, the way the game plans were, which I'm not anti whatever Harbaugh's been doing, who am I to ever disagree with him? But it was hard to really figure out who is this team, right? How good are they? And you can probably make the same argument for the Kansas City Chiefs, which is why he said that they're kind of Kansas City light, where you look at them and you're like, where's the flash, where's the power, where's the dominance? And it's just hard to, at that point, it's like hard to be like, okay, if the Chargers played the Chiefs again, who wins that game? I'm not so sure. I'm not going to automatically say the Chiefs, without a doubt. So the Chargers, I'm curious to see if they're going to continue to get more and more momentum, especially as Herbert and Harbaugh continue to develop and grow together. Because again, it is a new coach, it is a new identity, new culture, new system, new everything. And this was always going to take a minute or two to get going. But now the interesting question is like, has this got going even faster than I thought? And now they could really pick up some momentum. That's going to be interesting for me to see. The Steelers, I said in the offseason, you get Russ in there. Russ needs to start over Justin Fields, and Russ will make, Russ with this defense and Mike Tomlin and this culture and a new offensive coordinator, this team can be legit, right? This team can be truly legit. Obviously, that was disrupted with some injuries, and then, of course, having Justin Fields play decent, okay, pretty good enough. And now we're seeing really who this team is. And this team has firepower. They got energy. They got some swagger. They got culture. They got confidence. It's really everything you want, quite frankly. So the Steelers have something. They have the ability to really be special. And it's going to be interesting because the Steelers are obviously going to play the Ravens. But, like, they're in the driver's seat right now to win the division. So those games within the division they're always big, but this is like exceptionally big right now. And what's really fascinating is you'd have to look at this. I'd have to look and see how the seeding exactly works in the bye and who the bye plays, who the team who has the bye, who they play. But like, it'll be really interesting if the Steelers or the Ravens end up being in the wild card spot. Like, does it unfold in a way where like first round Ravens versus Chiefs or Steelers versus Chiefs? Like, that's a tough first game. Like, you're used to just kind of like, feasting on some sort of bad team or team that kind of limps into the playoffs. None of these teams are going to be in that situation. So it's going to be honestly kind of interesting to see how the playoff seeding unfolds. And then the 49ers. Listen, I think the 49ers, their season has always been rough this year because of injuries and because of all of the in and out of the injuries as well. And then having Christian McCaffrey come in, like, it's just been such a hard season to really evaluate how great the 49ers are. I really am a firm believer in the pieces that they have and Shanahan. What I argued before is that I just don't think they're maybe as resilient as you would want them to be. And so once you get all the pieces for the 49ers together, they will be greater than the sum of their parts. And we haven't been able to really see that just yet. And I think within the next couple of weeks, as long as Christian McCaffrey, Debo, Kittle, and all of them can actually stay healthy and stay in the lineup, we will know exactly who the 49ers are. We will know, are they closer to who they were last year, or is this just, this is what they are? They're a little inconsistent. They can win some big games. They can lose some big games, right? Like, can they return to how dominant they were? We will find out over the next few weeks. And so there you go. And yeah, I think the Arizona Cardinals are for real. I really, really do. I think Kyler Murray has been wildly impressive, a legitimate MVP candidate, and I'm really happy to see him kind of reignite his reputation and just who the Cardinals are. I mean, let's be serious. If you're not a Cardinals fan, I don't know how many people are really watching Cardinals games. You're not like, oh yeah, great, the Cardinals versus the 49ers, that's a fun division game. Like, I'm pretty confident that majority of people are not really closely locked into that game. And I know that because how often are you seeing a game like that, a Cardinals game in prime time, right? Sunday night, let's go. Monday night, let's go. Obviously, it exists because they're going to get some of those games, but it's just not a top build game that we see. And it's like, you have a quarterback like Kyler Murray, like I always reference, was supposed to essentially be Patrick Mahomes before Patrick Mahomes, and unfortunately, just because of injuries and the way how things unfolded, it just didn't happen, right? It just didn't happen. But now he's kind of reemerged into the conversation of like, yo, like, I am for real. I am a top quarterback in the NFL. I turned the Cardinals franchise around. Yes, we've had some injuries, we've had some issues, but when we are healthy and ready to go, and we have a coach that we like and connect with, and culture, and a better GM, let's do this. And that's what the Cardinals have honestly reminded everyone of. And then the Washington Commanders. I 1000% disagree that they were exposed. I almost want to just make a whole separate video about this. I may do that. But they weren't exposed or what do you say, a reality check or whatever his exact wording was. I really wholeheartedly disagree with that. They needed absolute heroics from Russ, and some of those balls that he threw, which was extraordinary and was really exciting to watch. And again, credit to the Steelers. But those weren't obviously Hail Marys, but they were calculated gambles and risks that they're low percentage throws that more often than not are not going to work out. And he needed multiple of those throws to have that kind of unfold the way this game went. And so I think also, again, like, saying that Jaden Daniels didn't have this great game. I already went through the rankings in a previous video. He was top 10 in passing and top 12 in just total offense, Jaden Daniels, for all quarterbacks for this past week. So even though it wasn't his best game, it was still better than most, okay? Like, it was still significantly better than most. And if you actually watch the game and not just look at the box score, you'll see that he actually played really well. Again, was he perfect? Was he transcendent like we've seen him in the past? No. But he had some really, really incredible high-level football. Really high-level football. And so I'm just not going to use that as a way to be like, reality hit this team. I think they are a top 10 team, and I don't think it's even necessarily a bad spot for them to be 10th because they are a young team. And that's why I've always said to the Washington Commanders fans, like, hey, manage your expectations. This is exciting. You're way ahead schedule, but still recognize that other teams have more experience, a deeper roster. They've been around longer. Their coaching staff, their players have been more integrated for a longer period of time. It's going to give them the edge. It's why experience and veterans get the edge over a younger team, over a new coach, which, again, I know he's had coaching experience, but it's still new for the Commanders. Cliff Kingsbury, rookie quarterback. That is always going to be a somewhat disadvantage, but I don't necessarily think that was the reason why they lost to the Steelers, for instance, right? Like, that aspect of who they are, of just by nature of who they actually are, was not something that was a reality check or exposed. They just lost a football game. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it just happens. You can't win. You're not going to win every single game. You're going to lose. You're going to have some moments. And it just is what it is. Patrick Mahomes played not good at all against the Denver Broncos. Was he exposed to the Broncos? If they didn't block that field goal, would have the Kansas City Chiefs would it have been a reality check for them? Hey, you've been kind of just getting on by with some wins lately and haven't been really playing that great. Reality check, the rookie quarterback Bo Nix and Denver Broncos just beat you. I don't think anybody would have said that. They would have said, hey, winning every single game is tough. What are you going to do? So I think that's the same thing that you have to put on the Washington Commanders. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about Colin Cowherd's herd hierarchy? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I'd absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.